The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
And welcome down to the EP Podcast. My name is Chris Lanuti, Hannah Beth joining me here, and we bring you, as we do each and every week, 30 minutes of good in a world of dumb right here from Evergreen Park. And it's brought to you by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. A new school year is here. And whether they're on campus or doing their work from home, First National Bank of Evergreen Park's student checking account can help students manage their money. With online banking and a convenient mobile app, this account allows for students to do their banking from anywhere. Plus, there's no minimum required to open, and they'll get their own debit card and 5 free nationwide ATM refunds per statement cycle. To open up a student checking account today, visit bankevergreenpark.com/student checking, member FDIC. Hollywood insider Ben Belton on the show this week. There's movies coming out again. Yes, they're back. John Brand from Open Outcry Brewing at the end of the bar. We are going to face off in a contest mano a mano. You're not going to want to miss it. But before all of that, joining me on the phone line right now from the village of Evergreen Park, he's a good friend of the show. He's on an awful lot. He does not only stuff for the village, but he also runs a local theater group. His hands seem to be everywhere, and I don't mean that in a weird way. Glenn Panuski's on the line with me. How are you, Glenn?
I am doing well. Actually, I remember, I'm alone here. I'm on the phone. I can take my mask off.
Yeah, take off the mask.
You hear me a little better now. I'm doing well, and I hope you are too.
Looks like the rec department's doing like a ton of stuff here for the fall for kids, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, well, the first thing is that they did get the preschool open. And, here's the interesting thing, because when that building was constructed, there was some criticism out there. I mean, it's a beautiful building, but is it too big, too much? But this is where it's actually playing into our favor, because now there's so much room that they can take these preschool kids, which are going to be kept in smaller, groups, smaller classrooms. But now there's more places to go with them to keep them distant. And they've been at it for 2 weeks now, and they're loving it. I mean, they don't mind the masks as much as we thought that they might. You figure 3-4-year-olds, they're not going to, that's going to be a trial to keep that, the masks on. But they've been doing well, and so that's 2 weeks in. So, and then of course with that then comes, the fun programs and the recreation department. Right now they've got registration going for all the fun stuff, the youth sports classes. They got t-ball and hoopsters and kickers and tennis classes and even adult classes too. They got archery, they got outdoor ball hockey, they got pickleball, which I've never heard of but is a big thing. So all that's being they're registering folks for that as we speak, right over there at the community center. And then the youth soccer is actually starting this week as well. So
pickleball that you mentioned, I was looking at it myself. I can't even be in it because it's for ages 50 and over. But it's described as a combination of tennis, badminton, and ping pong. So not everything is for the kids that the rec department's doing, because that's for active adults 50 and over, the pickleball thing.
Well, and then also they have, the exercise classes, that are in full force. So it's one of these things where, we're trying to keep things as normal as you possibly can, while keeping things safe for everybody, and it seems to be working out. And also, just around the corner in October, they're hoping to start the dance classes and then a drama class as well. So, it's just this whole thing has kind of forced us all to rethink things and think outside the box. But so far, it's working and people enjoy it. Yeah, it's a shame that we lost the parade, we lost all the concerts. They're going to be back next year with the help from above. So
I think we're pretty fortunate here in Evergreen Park, just because the schools aren't doing the sports. There's no activities, and yet you guys are finding ways to offer something to people in the village in case their kids need that. And I like the fact there's an alternative, because the schools have basically gotten rid of all these after school things and these different activities. And the fact this is available is a great thing, I think, because if it's being done safely, it's a good thing to get the kids out and do something. And we don't want them to be, to turn into a mess mentally because they're basically confined inside, when in reality, they're probably the safest of any group of us.
I know. There was one day I was walking, and this is a couple of months ago, but I was walking down on one of my walks, and I passed by, and this is when the parks were still closed, the tot lots. And I passed a house, and the little kid looked like she was maybe 6 or 7. And she wanted to go down to Duffy Park and the tot lot. And the parents said, no, we can't go down there because of Corona. And the girl just starts crying, and she slams into the house going, I hate Corona. And I just passed by. I said, honey, we all do. And I can't wait for the day that you can go back and play in the park like you were meant to do, know. Right. And it's coming. So, And then you also mentioned with the theater group, obviously, Broadway in New York, everywhere, theater is shut down, and that has, of course, affected all the community theater groups, including us. And we're finding ways, to do things safely. And we've got a little project for an alternative kind of entertainment that we're working on that I'll just keep mum about for now. But you'll hear more about that, hopefully, on your show in a couple of weeks. So
that's awesome.
Again, our whole thing is just trying to restore some kind of normalcy until we can get things really kicking again. Remember last year, we did that, the fantasy science fiction convention over at the Senior Center. First time, you were there, the first time out, crowds were good, but we knew that this was going to have to be, you keep doing it year after year, it becomes bigger. We're really hoping to get that thing in, because all those vendors that you saw were there at the time said, hey, we're back next year, and so we're just, I don't know if February it's going to happen, but we're hoping to get that in too. So
that was the last live event the EP podcast went to. It was, we were maybe 2-3 months in the Corona. I went to go clean out the trunk of the car, and I still had all the stuff sitting in there that I had packed up and brought over to that event.
I want to say, everything shut down about 3 weeks after that event, so, and I remember us sitting around casually just talking and saying, oh, yeah, you're reading about this thing that's starting out overseas and might be coming this way. And, and obviously it was much more serious than that, but, who knew, so.
Exactly. Now, the Recreation Department, I'm going to give the quick list to everybody that's listening. They got T-ball for ages 3 to 6, little dribblers ages 3 to 5, adult tot hoopsters and kickers ages 2 to 3 with an adult, multi-sport mania, which is for ages 4 to 6. They got pee-wee tennis and junior tennis that covers you, those two classes, anyone 4 through 9. There's also youth tennis that gets you up to the 12-year-olds. There's archery for 6 to 12, and I'm jealous because I want to go do archery. They should add an adult class to that. Outdoor ball hockey, 6 to 11.
When I was younger,
yeah, exactly. And then you got the beginner pickleball for active adults ages 50 plus. How do people sign up though right now? Especially because we don't know exactly what we're supposed to do and where we should go. I'm sure you don't want to line someplace. How do people go sign up, Glenn?
Well, you can go to the community center. The rec department, they're there, full-time hours. And the benefit of there is that, finally, you can use a credit card, to pay for it. They can't do it over the phone yet, but, you can go and everything's, if you've been in the community center, it's all safe over there. And it gives you a reason to get out. You know what I mean? The building's open and they're happy to see you over there.
Well, Glenn, I appreciate you jumping in with us today and telling us everything that's going on with the rec department. I look forward to more conversations. Every time things open up a little bit more, I start to feel a little bit more normal. And so I feel normal talking to you with all the things going on in Evergreen Park.
You're a good friend, and I appreciate you having me on.
Now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, brought to you by the fine folks over at Cousins Subs, 9204 Southwestern Avenue. Hop in today or order online, cousinsubs.com. Coming up this Saturday, September the 12th, the MHR Men's Club is having their annual barbecue bash. But it's not going to be the same big event in the parking lot at Most Holy Redeemer on 95th Street. Instead, it's COVID and Q this year. You can have a barbecue team in your own backyard. and enter into the contest to find out who can cook the best ribs in the entirety of Evergreen Park. If you participate, you do it from home. Then you march the ribs up at 4 o'clock for turn-in on Saturday. There's rules online, the prizes are listed online as well, and I'm hearing of a possibility of a roving musical act going from house to house that's participating. The Barbecue Bash, safe but fun this year. More details at mhrmensclub.com. And those of you in and around Evergreen Park that see those EP podcast car magnets and say, how do I get my hands on one of those? Well, right now they're available, and all you have to do is order them online, and it's free. The Broadcast Basement On Demand Radio Network has a new store open up online. Visit broadcastbasement.bigcartel.com. Cash and fabulous prizes for those that we see with the magnet on the back of the car. That's your EP word on the street. The EP podcast rolls on now. An Irish pub created by two neighborhood families right here in Evergreen Park, nestled on the quiet little street called 99th, and it has quickly become a Southside tradition. I'm talking about Porter Cullen's. Voted the best Irish pub the last 4 years by the Chicago Tribune. Their menu is filled with unique and inspired takes on traditional Irish and American classics that are sure to satisfy all your taste and cravings. This includes their incredible Guinness battered fish and chips and the best homemade corned beef you can find. With a family-friendly atmosphere, Porter Cullen's is certified by Guinness to give you the perfect pour. A hidden gem on the south side with a downtown feel located right here in Evergreen Park. Porter Cullen's has comfortable seating, indoors and outdoors. Located at 3541 West 99th Street in Evergreen Park. Learn more at portercullens.com. Back now, we got John Brand down here at the 9-Foot Homemade Oak Bar. Hannah?
Hello.
We're going to have some fun right now with John. First off, he brought us an absolute awesome beer that I'm super excited about drinking right now. I mean, we've been sitting here and we've been sipping this thing. Tell me what this is, because I love it. It first of all, it reminds me of my time out in California, so this has to be a California-style IPA.
That's a good call. That's exactly right. So this is what a IPA would have likely tasted like perhaps 5-10 years ago, before the current trends in IPAs have kind of evolved and changed. So what people typically call these styles now are West Coast style IPAs. So this is our version of a West Coast style IPA. It's called the Grace.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I enjoy it a lot.
Thank you.
I like IPAs, but there's just, the New England thing's kind of the hip thing. This is the thing this is the style of IPA that I've always liked the most. Because I remember I found IPAs. I found the India Pale Ales when I was out in the Sierra Nevadas, when I was living in Reno, Nevada, and then when I was in California. That was when I really found craft beer for the first time, right. And it's a callback to it, and I absolutely love it. John Brand sitting with us here. He's from Open Outcry over at 109th on the 10900 block of Western. Go check that place out. They got an amazing upper deck area out there. Plus, they've got seating inside that they can do, because you can basically open up most of the walls, so it's spread out. But it's probably the most natural feeling place indoors that I've sat in, because of the way you have things set up with the windows, and we're excited that you're back down here at the bar. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Good.
Yeah, it's always a good time hanging out with you guys. Hannah, it's nice to see you drinking beer again, because we're slowly weaning Hannah off the wine.
She's getting ready for our segment, so now she's running around the bar to get to her microphone.
I had to run back to my mic. Yeah, I mean, I've barely, since we've opened this Grace IPA, I barely touched my wine, so good stuff.
We are going to have some fun today with John as we're talking beer. And then after John, we have Ben Belton, our Hollywood insider, who will jump in here and join us and talk about the movies, because a lot of theaters are starting to open up again, which is kind of exciting. I saw a preview for a movie we're going to get into with Ben today that is going to get me back into a theater. I've decided it's going to be my first time back to a theater when that movie comes out, so we're going to get to that. But John, you're a beer expert, okay?
Arguably.
Yeah, and I drink a lot of beer. Hannah has a selection of beers that she went out and got. These are available to anybody here in the area. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to see whether or not you and I can face off against each other, and see if we can identify the style of beer. Hannah will be the judge on anything where it's like, well, that isn't exactly what it is. Hannah will judge exactly what type of style it is. and we will see who will win between me and you. I call it the brewer versus the bartender. So anyway, here we go. We're going to give the first one here a try for the brewer versus the bartender here on the EP podcast. John Brand from Open Outcry. Make sure that you go and visit him. John is sniffing his beer. I will sniff mine as well. That's what all beer drinkers do, Hannah. We sniff the beer first in a little taster glass to look like it makes a difference when you're trying to figure this whole thing out.
I sniffed the grapefruit in this Grace beer, so I'm learning the sniffing.
All right.
technique.
We shouldn't have drank the IPA before this taste test because
It'll screw everything up.
That's all I can taste right now are hops. Well, all right. So you want to break this down?
Okay.
Well, let's do it together.
Okay.
Okay. Let's start out with color. What are we looking at?
Well, this is dark.
What are you seeing? I'm seeing brown with it's brown/ruby. Okay. So just based on the color alone, we've already
Ruby.
narrowed this down. Those are streaks of ruby in that beer. Okay.
Right.
Aroma. What are you getting in the aroma?
It's a little bit of coffee, I want to say.
A little.
A little bit.
Keep going.
I don't know. I can almost smell some of the wort in it.
It's raisin and currant.
Is that right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
You can tell
Raisin
exactly.
and
You can
currant.
tell what it is
I can
looking
tell.
right.
That's raisin.
You're like
Smelling
a
it.
sommelier for beer.
All right.
I'm down to 5 or 4 different styles now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Did you already take a sip?
I took a sip.
Okay.
What's funny is he's so good at this, and he's breaking it down like scientifically.
I know.
And I drank it, and I said, "Okay, I got a pretty educated guess."
It's a
like
dark
that's
beer.
about the difference. like he's gonna analyze it, and I'm just gonna guess.
It's moderately to high sweet.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Carbonation's moderate to high. I'm down to 3, and you can tell that you're getting the sort of a peppery butterscotch type note in it.
I drink it, and it feels
yeast.
to me like a foreign beer.
Okay,
That's
true.
what I think it is.
Yep.
I think it's a foreign style beer. Is
That's
what
right.
it is.
So
for sure.
we're narrowing this down to the Belgian region. Is
Okay.
What we're doing.
And and I'll go a step further. I believe that Hannah went out to the store today, and there are all these beers that are in style because what is going on right now in September, going into October.
I think you're back up.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going down the right path.
You don't think I'm going on the
I
right
don't think
path?
you're going on the right path.
See, I don't think it's an Oktoberfest, but I think it's a German beer.
You think you figured
I
me
think it's a
out.
German beer.
I'm going Belgium.
You're going
Belgium style beer only because of the peppercorn and the clove and the note in this thing.
All right, I would think that this was, something makes me think this is a German beer. I'm going to say that this is a Dunkel.
That's a great guess.
That's what I think this
That's
is.
a great guess. So I'm okay.
I think that's what this is.
I'm thinking this is in the trapeze family. It's either a quad, a triple, and you know what? I'll throw Dunkel in there too because the Dunkel uses the same sort of yeast stuff.
All right,
But,
Hannah, reveal the drink.
where
Let's see
we
what
at?
we got here.
How bad are
See,
we?
the thing was, I guessed, and I had that idea in my head right off the bat. John broke it all down. We came to something very similar.
And
What
I'm
kind of
gonna be
beer
way
is it?
off.
What do we have here?
Bust out your kilts. It's a Scotch ale.
Oh,
This says Old Chub,
We're the
Oscar
worst.
Blues Brewery
We
Scotch
totally
Ale.
Screwed that up.
Scotch ale.
And that's a good
What
one.
is
Yeah,
that?
first of
It's
all,
European.
Oh, that's an Oscar Blue Scotch.
yeah,
Ale.
and I actually have the sticker on the bar mirror, Old Chub, so I know I've drank it before, and I still couldn't guess what it was. We're terrible at this. Okay, absolutely terrible at this. Okay,
I just like the
us,
can.
both of us did horrible on our first taste test trying to guess a beer. So Hannah's going to try to pick another beer. So now you went
try
through
this again.
Did that make sense to you when it opened up? What do you think threw you off from not getting to a Scotch ale? Because normally Scotch ales feel Scotchier, and I don't know why I didn't taste that in it. You know, that's the thing. I don't know. You know what? I think I might just guess Dunkel with every dark beer today.
Well,
It just felt.
it's nearing fall, and you
I
just want to
just-
use the word. You just want to say the word Dunkel.
I just want Dunkels at Oktoberfest, and eventually I'll get one right because she had to have picked up one of those at the
Yeah.
store. You know, this is the time of year I would think that you would
Yeah,
have. That.
I was getting the peppercorn, so when I get peppercorn,
Yeah.
I go straight to the Belgian.
So what gives that taste? Is somebody actually putting peppercorn in the beer?
No, it's the yeast. It's the type of yeast you use will give that sort of flavor profile. But
Interesting.
a Scotch ale does not use that yeast type, so obviously I was way off.
All right, here we go. We got another dark beer
All
that's
right,
been given to us.
Start again. Start with the color. Where you at?
Well, it's dark. It's darker than the other one. So now I'm upset with myself that I thought the Scotch ale was
It's very
dark.
hold up to the light. It's
Yeah.
very similar. It's brown with streaks of ruby in it. Okay, what are you getting the notes?
Well, you're right.
Heavy on the malty sweetness.
Okay. Oh well, this was aged in a barrel.
All right, you go ahead. What do you think?
Hold on a second.
What kind of dirt
That was
did
aged
the
in a
hops
barrel.
grow in?
That's a barrel-aged beer. I'm telling you right now, that's a barrel-aged beer.
Start with the style first, though.
It's a stout.
No, I don't think it is.
You don't?
I think this is an American barley wine.
Really?
I do.
That's something in a bourbon barrel. I'm telling you right now. I drink a lot of bourbon barrel stouts. That's a bourbon barrel stout. That's what I think it is. That's my guess. I'm going bourbon barrel stout.
I'm sticking with barley wine.
All right, let's see what we got here. As we try to figure out who's going to guess this correctly, and what do we have?
Again, I picked it because I like the bottle. It has a dragon's milk, bourbon barrel aged stout.
Oh! I nailed it!
I got it because of the dragon.
I beat the brewer on that one.
Just drinking this barley wine / stout.
Is that the dragon one?
It's a really good beer. Regardless of what style it is, it's a great.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something.
Got a dragon.
That was unfair because she gave me that one, and I was like, I know it's in a bourbon barrel. I mean, look underneath the bar, right down here. I guarantee you, there's a bottle of
Chris,
bourbon down here. What?
You have the sticker.
I have the sticker for. I've had it before. The old Chub we tasted, I'd had before, and I got the dragon. I have the dragon sticker on here as well. I got some Open Outcry stickers around here as well too. I got all. I put all the bar stickers.
Was I
up, all the
influenced because like subconsciously I've been
I think
looking
you
at these
subconsciously
stickers?
started picking out
I think
beers
for like
that I've
10
already
years,
drank before.
10 years I've been staring at these stickers.
It was all part of my secret evil plan to win
Is that what had to do with
Brewer
it?
versus the Bartender on the EP podcast.
So are you saying I've been set up? Is that what you say?
If that makes you feel better, John.
Yeah.
Evergreen Park residents, guess what? Chamber of Commerce Week is coming up. September 14th through the 18th, and the Evergreen Park Chamber of Commerce is celebrating in a variety of ways. Be on the lookout for the kickoff of their new Small Business Marketing Series, a weekly Zoom session with local business and marketing experts. That kicks off Wednesday, September the 16th, with a session on LinkedIn marketing. On the 17th of September, virtual bingo, free for all to participate. Prizes are gift cards from chamber members all across Evergreen Park. Plus, the Evergreen Park Chamber of Commerce apparel store is open once again. Purchase apparel from now until September the 27th, and all proceeds from sales will be given to a business of your choice. The apparel store, details on events, and registration available now. Go to evergreenparkchamber.org. Ben Belton is joining us on the line. Ben is one of our Hollywood, he's actually our only Hollywood insider. He's a great guy. He comes on all the time. We appreciate him joining us. And Ben has been a big fan of the show and a big part of the show for a while, and he checks in every once in a while from LA. Ben's got one of those jobs where he's around the movie stars. He bumps into them at the coffee shop. He works for companies that deal with all the studios. He goes to premieres. He highfalutes around with all the actors. He probably pushes Tom Cruise out of the way because he's a midget. These are the things that Ben does. And Ben's life is starting to get a little bit more interesting now because there's movies coming back. Am I correct? And I saw the trailer for James Bond today, and I decided I'm going to the movies to see the new James Bond. It looked that good.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And I mean, this one is going to be interesting mostly just because, if you watch the trailer today, it was all about these women that were just kind of, and Hannah would appreciate this, we're out there just kind of kicking what. And they're kind of introducing, I think you're going to start to see those movies split apart. So they're going to have a new 007 after this one. And I think they're going to hire an actor that's more traditional and more so looks the part. But then they're also going to probably spin off and do another series. They had planned on doing this a little bit with Halle Berry years ago as Jinx and the character, and that never came about. But you're going to start to see that. But this movie, they're saying, is incredible. The people that have worked on it and that I know, and there's a lot of hype behind it. So I think it's going to do great.
And I think you're right about that. I noticed that was the first thing I thought when I saw it, that it flashed back to the whole thing where it wasn't just a Bond girl. There was an actual female secret agent, a 00 agent. It was clear that one of them was another 00 agent, which you don't see very often inside of James Bond films. And I'm down for it, man. It looked badass when I was watching it.
Yeah, they just got an incredible cast. A lot of the people that have been in the last several films are coming back. So it's just kind of a mix. And they've got Rami Malek as the villain. I mean, there's just a lot to look forward to in this film.
So the other thing that's going on is there's going to be 3 different Batmans this year. We're going to get to see a Michael Keaton Batman. We're gonna get to see the like a Ben Affleck Batman supposedly, and we're gonna get to see a Batman from the guy who did Twilight. And I saw the preview for that Batman, and it looked pretty cool. But it turns out they had to stop filming because he got COVID. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the talk the last 24 to 48 hours here is everybody's got COVID. So The Rock and his family tested positive for COVID.
Supposedly.
Why are you laughing?
Because I mean, like, I don't
He's
know.
a vampire and he's Batman.
He's a vampire and he's a Batman. I thought he would be immune to
You
COVID.
think Batman could get COVID? I guess he's a bat, right?
You would think Batman's able to fight off every single thing.
Bats
The
have
Joker's
rabies.
got, like, poisonous gas. Batman just puts the little thing of the filter in his nose.
I guess-
you would think he would have like a bat filter for COVID.
He's a bat.
He's not an actual bat. Have you ever seen Batman before?
Yeah, but he's a Batman.
Oh my God, I don't think he's ever seen Batman before.
Well, they're calling him the emo Batman. They're calling the emo Batman. So maybe the emo Batman is more susceptible to such things. I don't know. But yeah.
I was shocked the other night, Ben, and I want to know your take on it because I think it hit everybody a little differently. But I can't believe that the guy who played Black Panther not only had cancer for years and we didn't know it. He filmed all those movies with stage 3 colon cancer and then he dies and you're like, wait, what? I mean, was this something that was really kept that much under wraps in Hollywood that nobody knew about this?
It was. And I talked to a bunch of people that I know, and they didn't know about it either. And they're maybe more in the know than a lot of people you would know. And they basically, they were surprised by it too. Now, recently, he's been kind of away from the public, and I think that's when he lost a lot of weight. I did see him about, I think it was 7 or 8 months ago, and he looked, a little skinny, but I think what they were saying is that he had lost some weight for a role. And then eventually, I think when he started to get to really lose the weight was in the last probably, during COVID in the 6 months is when it really started to unfortunately accelerate.
So you saw him. You saw him in person and you could tell that he was a little bit smaller, but you were told it was because of a role.
Well, yeah, and he looked, but a lot of celebrities, or a lot of actors you meet, they will lose weight or gain weight for a role, so you don't really think twice about it. Like he looked normal. He didn't look like not that having cancer means that you're not going to look normal or that you're not going to, that you're going to look sick. It just means that I didn't notice anything, and I know a lot of other people didn't. So it really came as a shock and just an awful loss for Hollywood and an awful loss for Pete. He was just, he was a great guy. He was constantly going into, to essentially help kids with cancer, deal with cancer. He was just a very giving person, and everyone's just kind of, trying to figure out what they're going to do next, basically. Obviously, they're in the phase of honoring him and stuff like that, but they also want to make sure that, that they carry on this character, this great franchise that he created. He was the center of it with Black Panther.
Yeah, that's the other weird thing about it is that, like, I was somebody who, I used to read more of the DC comics than the Marvel ones. I'll be honest with you. But Marvel did such a good job with the movies that I knew some of the characters, but I, honest to goodness, had no idea who the heck Black Panther was. And I was like, when the movie came out, I'm like, I'll get to it eventually. And everybody was like, oh, it's awesome. You got to go see it. I went and saw it, and he became like one of my favorite characters in an entire Marvel universe. And it seems like callous to say, oh gosh, what are they going to do with the movies? To me, honestly, I sat there and thought to myself, they could just leave it at that point. He was an amazing character. You could just leave it. If they want to continue it, I remember from the original movie that when one Black Panther goes, another one takes his place, so they could also recast it and come up with a reason that he's not there anymore. So it'll be interesting to see if Hollywood even decides to move forward with that character, or if Marvel says, nope, that was his, we're not touching it again. Have you heard anything about it, or is it just too soon for that?
I think the word is that they're not going to replace him or not going to replace his character. What they're going to do is they're going to have somebody else step into the Black Panther role. The bigger issue that it creates is they had planned on, there were talks that they were going to bring in some of the X-Men characters. In the comic books, he carries on a relationship with Storm. And so they were going to bring in Storm through him and then some of the other X-Men in that particular next film that they were planning for Black Panther 2. So now what you're going to see, and what I'm hearing is they're going to take the woman who played his sister, whose name is Letitia Wright, who played Shuri. She will probably step into the role of Black Panther. That's my prediction, and that's what I'm hearing pretty heavily around town.
Ben Belton, who will have to come here to Illinois if he actually wants to see a movie, because they're not allowed, John, to look at movies in LA right now. It's the movie capital of the world, and Ben can't go to a theater, but you can go to them out here.
Or a screening.
That's the way that the world works now, Hannah. Is that he's unable to do that. And Ben, I appreciate you jumping on. Look, I want you to make plans. Just put on the mask, fly to Chicago. We'll go see a movie. I'll take you over to John's place. We'll taste some beers. Then we'll make John guess what the beers are. He won't be able to guess them, and we're gonna have a good laugh. What do you think?
Yeah, I would like to get a hazmat suit that has your podcast logo on it, and then wear that in the airport.
Get an EP podcast hazmat suit to fly you out here. That would be amazing. Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. You put up a great Instagram post here just before you came over here. You're loading a truck on the back of another truck. Tell me what that's all about at Open Outcry. What are you doing?
So we just acquired a 1948 Ford F5.
Wow. Does it run?
Barely.
Okay. It's a 1940 Ford truck.
48
Ford truck.
1948 F5.
Okay.
A really interesting history on this truck.
Please tell me you're not going to use it to brew beer.
We're not going to use it to brew beer, but we're going to use it to deliver beer.
That's fun.
Right. So
get it all painted up with the Open Outcry thing, but you got to get it to run first.
You got to get it to run first, so we're going to make sure that it's safe and mechanically sound. It's going to get a restoration of the paint and in the interior. It will be branded similar to the 1903 Ford F-150 that we have, and we'll use it for special events and things like that. And we just acquired it about 2 months ago, and now we're sending it off to finish the restoration work that my friend had started on it.
Okay.
We're going to use it as the beer truck.
That's exciting. Have you driven it yet?
Exciting. I've driven it a few times, yes. The last time I drove it, I went over the railroad tracks on 111th Street, and a bunch of parts fell out the bottom of it. So I decided that we should probably get this thing in the hands.
Maybe we should get this thing fixed.
Yeah. We went over the tracks, and I go, pa-ping, pa-ping, pa-ping.
You have to get out and get stuff out.
I got out, I looked at the street, and half the truck was laying in the middle of the street.
Another show is wrapped up. Another show's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. And then by the looks, it's going to be a good one. And we'll see you next week. And the nude is basement. And the nude is basement. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And it's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. Nudie's Basement. Broadcast Basement. The Nudie's Basement. The Broad Basement. Slancha.
The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the eppodcast.com.